It's turning now live.
Good morning, Kalind bhai. We had a great session last time, and number of my friends did go through that interview, and some of them have a question about the various names that we are practicing. Like we talked more or less about the breath lab in that session, but some
Right.
of my friends was talking about breath practice. They also talk about the breath work. Some of them say natural breath or practicing breath. And also somebody also mentioned about oxygen advantage kind of thing.
Hmm.
Now, what are the difference in these terms? Is there any difference or what is your guidance or output on that?
Interesting question, Harish. I'm going to add one more term. With some people are using breath medicine.
Right,
Interesting terminologies. Well, ultimately, we breathe in and out. Our body handles many times, even when you're asleep and everything, we don't even know that we are breathing when you are asleep. When we wake up, and unless we have problems breathing, we don't even know. It's subconscious, and even though it's subconscious, the body continues to do its own work. So breath work is actually done unconsciously by the body all the time.
right.
Now, when you are awake, and breath medicine, let me go to breath medicine. Medicine is interesting because medicine is something that we take when you have problems,
It's
like
true.
fixing a disease or a situation that happens. Now the body has a automatic balancing mechanism. If the oxygen is less, it will breathe more. If it's less, if it's more, then it will slow down. That is a mechanism we call that, homeostasis, or it's just a balance, basically. Homeostasis is called, but balance mechanism. So that kind of thing, body already knows to generate its own issue and own answer, like a medicine inside. But the question now comes in when you are awake and conscious. So this is all about conscious breathing and controlling the breath in a conscious level. Now, when you do that, now it's everything is different. Now, supposing you are, checking out how it's working, experimentation with breathing more, breathing less, slowing down, all these techniques that we're talking about. And that's what we talked about last time. That's when we call it the breathing lab. It's just the way you're thinking about yourself as somebody who wants to, experiment and also experience that. So that's the position that you have. Now, that medicine is when you are thinking about some situation you're having. Supposing you're having heart rate is fast, you are really upset, anxious. And you say, when you're anxious, what do? You take a
Breathe.
deep breath. Or you're upset, angry at something that happens. What do? Everybody
Short,
says,
shortness of breath, probably you try to
yeah,
breathe.
yeah. And what do you say? Pause and take a deep breath. Everybody
Right.
says, take a deep breath. What did you do there? You switched one system for the other. You used your own ability consciously to create that medicine. That medicine, nothing but internal hormone, internal chemicals that you want to adjust. Instead of, say, adrenaline, which is, rush type of hormone, we are rushing and everything. You're switching that system by yourself. So you created your own medicine. So that if you use it that way, that's that medicine. Or supposing you're having asthma attack or something like that, and you use certain techniques like breath holding and a couple of other techniques that are out there, you are using breath to address certain situations. Then you are using it as a breath medicine. What's breath practice? Well, breath practice is interesting because when you try to build yourself up into a little bit better breathing technique, for example. Now, if you're only able to run, do you walk around quite a bit? How is your
Lately, I start inside the house.
and how is your exercise doing?
Exercise is doing good because I have an Apple 6 watch and they set up my goals. And when
Yeah.
I finish, it says it's done.
And you do any kind of breath work with that, breathing practice with it?
Yes, I do.
You do.
Because
And what?
even with the Apple 6, they have a breath cycle that
Okay.
is a built in that they remind you to do breathing and about 8 cycles in a minute.
And what is the purpose why you do that? Why do you do that?
Because to regulate the oxygen level and breathing.
Okay. Okay. So now you're addressing biochemistry part of it. It's a chemistry. Oxygen, you just mentioned something, chemistry part of it, which you understand, and many people may understand also. Oxygen is a simple thing to understand, but you are actively doing it by practicing certain tools and techniques. So that's a breath practice. Now you can build up. Have you progressed with that practice?
Yes, I did.
What advantage did you get?
What advantage is before I hardly able to walk more than couple of thousand feet,
Uh-huh.
steps rather. And now I can able to do more than 5,000, 6,000 steps.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And do you get short of breath?
Not much. I might have to stop once in a while in between, but not as much shortness of breath. No.
So you see what you did with breath practice, conscious practice, you were able to build more capacity. You were able to build yourself up a little bit more. And do you get very often cough and cold or thing like that?
No, I don't.
Did you ever get that?
Yeah, I mean, once in a while you get it, but not regularly or maybe a couple of times a year.
So sometimes we also talk about immunity, and so breath work or breath practice creating immunity. So people use different terminologies to say it's the same work. Actually, the work is nothing but, as you know, you breathe in, inhale, you exhale. You change few things. You change the rate at which you do slow down, or you want to take deep breaths. For example, more volume, which is very helpful. So you could do that, or say you could do other techniques, like for example, some, I think, humming or something. You said chanting or humming. You do.
Right.
You do that also.
Not much, but yes, I
You do.
do one and off
Yeah.
humming.
Yeah, and as we go through these videos, you will recognize that we will be going through these things. That these humming and vibrations, they create a lot of good substances called nitric oxide, and they are very helpful in a number of ways. So you are really addressing the chemistry part of it. Now, physics part is when you are deep breathing and taking more volume. That's the physics part. So there are multiple ways in which you approach the same thing: breathing, inhalation, exhalation, and holding the breath. So I hope this clears out some of the terms. You have any more questions on this?
No, I think you try to explain that. But what is about that oxygen advantage kind of thing?
Oxygen advantage. Very fascinating part. This is one of my mentors and teachers, Patrick McCowan, who came up with this oxygen advantage. And I do want people to refer to, if they want to refer, oxygenadvantage.com. He's got a wonderful site. And his idea about is that we breathe oxygen. And if we breathe properly, we will get the maximum advantage of that oxygen that we take. That's why he
Okay,
called it oxygen advantage. That's the reason for why he called it. But ultimately, that's the reason why we breathe.
right.
Advantage of proper
Oxygen.
oxygen. It's not too
Proper.
much, it's not too little. It goes where it needs to go, every area that the body that it needs to go. So it is focused on all the oxygen transport, where it's going in the body and how it's doing what it is doing. And so that's why he called it that. And I love it. I love the program. It's wonderful. So I do refer people to go to YouTube and check it out as well.
Oh, great. I will do that.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you again.